I'm Ed Byrne, the principal at King's College London, and our university, King's College London, and its diversity reflects this amazing city in which we live and work. I have the privilege today to be joined by Professor Jonathan Grant, our Vice Principal for Service, an incredibly important role at King's, and Chloe Lamb, who is a final year student from our widening participation programme. So Jonathan, Chloe, welcome. Chloe, I'll just begin by drawing Jonathan into the conversation. So Jonathan, can you tell us your view about how service is becoming more and more intrinsic to what King's is as an institution?
Yes, Ed, I think we've been on a journey over the last few years, and it very much started with putting together Vision 2029. And I, along with colleagues, held a consultation right across the university. We spoke to about 800 people through workshops and other forms, and it's no exaggeration to say that in every single one of those workshops, King's informal motto, in the service of society, was commented on. So we, I think, made a very brave decision as an institution and decided to put service alongside education and research as our academic mission, playing out in London and playing out internationally.
Service is really an absolutely crucial distinguishing factor, isn't it? A differentiating factor
Absolutely.
for King's.
If you look across the UK landscape, we are one of the only universities in the UK that has fundamentally said that we believe that our social mission is equal to our educational mission, is equal to our research mission, and we sort of deliver on that in many, many different ways. So you walk around sort of King's campuses in London, you come across examples of service every time. And one of those examples is our work we do around widening participation and bringing people into our King's community who traditionally wouldn't have had the opportunity to join King's or succeed when they're at King's in ways that Chloe illustrates so perfectly.
Chloe, now you're a graduate of, I think, one of the programmes we're proudest of at King's, our K+ programme. Tell us what this has meant for you and perhaps how it's influenced your life a little.
Yeah, so coming from my background, so I'm from a small town in South London. Neither of my parents went to university, so I'm a first generation student, but also a second generation immigrant. So university to me always seemed like a goal that was very far away. And it was always an end goal and not just a checkpoint. So I had to work really, really hard at school and didn't think an institution like King's would be available and open for someone from my background. So I was really grateful when the programme like K+ came about, and this basically helped me harness my skills and my belief in myself, and it really pushed me to apply for King's and other institutions of the high esteem. And it's been a really great 3 years so far, but I've been involved with King's for 5 years now, including the programme. I've been really grateful for all the opportunities I've had in my academic and my professional career at King's, and I'm really excited to see what else I can bring out from it.
That's fantastic, and that's what King's is all about, really. For those who don't know, could you just describe some of the high points of how the K+ programme works?
Yes, so the K+ programme is a 2-year programme for 17 to 18-year-olds. It is basically based on encouraging them to enter higher education if that was not from underrepresented backgrounds. And the highlight must have been the summer school that I did between the 2 years. It's a 1-week non-residential summer school. I got to do taster lectures, meet all these students from different backgrounds, with different subjects, and really get involved with university life at King's. And that is what kind of solidified my desire to come to King's. And it was that summer school where I went home and I went, I need to apply to King's. And I guess the rest is history.
Well, it's great for King's that you've come here. Now, what do you intend to do with the next part of your life? You know, where are you going?
Yeah, so it's a scary and exciting time, but I think the next steps are finding employment within the HE sector. I really enjoy working with the university and actually making a difference in the world, and I feel like this really is key with service at King's. I've been really lucky to work with Jonathan a few times this year and really see the progress and the changes we're making for so many people. So I would love to keep doing that.
And as an alumnus, are you going to stay in touch with us?
Oh, 100%. That's not even a question.
So Chloe, you've spent a couple of years working as a widening participation ambassador here at King's. Can you explain what that is and what you did and what you got out of it?
Yeah, so as a student ambassador, essentially we're working with the university and certain departments. So in Widen Participation, we work a lot with the social mobility side of King's. So we do summer schools, a lot of workshops, things like that. So the programme I was on before, K+, I managed to work as an ambassador this time on the
And what was that
programme.
like?
It was really interesting, really eye-opening, I think, to seeing how much hard work goes into it.
Yep.
But also because I was inspired by so many student ambassadors when I was on the programme, it was really nice to be just a little small part of someone else's narrative and someone else's story. And I really like the idea of paving that forward.
Yep.
And hopefully I've done that. We haven't seen the results yet, but we'll see.
Jonathan, widening participation is one of the great ways, one of the many ways in which we can serve society. But I know you have many other examples. Could you draw some of them out a little?
Yeah, yes, I mean, the number of examples, we have a list, and it grows sort of longer and longer almost every day, because every conversation you have around King's, you come up with another example. But one way I like to think about it is through the lens of the other strategic priorities that we've put together in Vision 2029. So if you look at service through education, you come across amazing examples of what we are now calling service-led learning. So our law clinic, for example, is a fabulous illustration of how you can combine sort of theory and classroom education with practice in the community and making a contribution to the people who come to the clinic, but also as students learning about how to deliver effective advice in those contexts. If you look at research, the vast majority of our researchers are undertaking research which is having really meaningful social impact. Some of that may take a generation to come to fruition, some of it comes much quicker. But I was walking down here this afternoon, and one of the things I saw was one of these air monitoring units with King's College London logo stuck to it. We have a team of researchers looking at air quality in cities, and the impact of that is actually improving quite immediately the well-being of young children who may be at school next door to a road which has high concentrations of pollution, and that's being reduced. If you look at this through London, we've just introduced the Board Bank, where we're trying to connect local NGOs and charities who are looking for trustees, and connecting our staff and students who want to become trustees and making that connection, but also helping our students and staff be effective trustees. So again, you as a member of staff or as a student, you could become a trustee of a local community-based organisation, and you can contribute to the community within which we reside. And then finally, if you look at it through the lens of international, lots of stuff around global leadership, but the one that I always come back to is our work in the Sanctuary Programme, which I just find awe-inspiring every time I hear about it. We are delivering online courses in refugee camps in the Middle East, and we know that nearly 50,000 people have now accessed those online courses. And I think that's an amazing thing, and all of those things we don't have to do as a world-class university, but we have chosen to do because we believe we of King's have a social responsibility that goes beyond education and research, and that makes me incredibly proud.
How can students and staff get more involved with service from your perspective?
I think it's a natural thing that we want to do, to feel absolutely assured that King's wants it, desires it, and wants to support them in every way. There's so many ways that a service commitment can be developed. There are very few of us in life who don't want to make the world a better place or help other people. And the opportunities for staff and students in our university to get engaged with local communities, with community organisations, with voluntary organisations, internationally, with aid organisations, with educational efforts around the world, they're just enormous. And I've noticed that when people take advantage of this, the degree of self-fulfillment is very, very considerable.
So if I can add to that, I think Ed's absolutely right. I think the first thing is to actually tell our community, whether that's students, staff and alumni, that we are proud of this activity of service, and give people permission to engage and celebrate service-type activities. And I think we've done a lot of that over the last couple of years. The other things we've been doing is trying to make it easier for people to engage. So to give you some practical examples of that, we introduced something called service time about a year ago, and that allows all our members of staff to take a day out of their working life to do some kind of service activity. So like a charity day in the private sector, but very specific to King's.
Yeah, I mean, it's really great. I think King's, as like a civic university at its heart, it's really important, and it's really heartwarming as a student, but also as a future alumni, to see King's actually making the steps and being held accountable to the things that we set in place. So I can't wait to see what the future holds for King's.
So what can we expect in the future?
I think the first one is to encourage all our staff, all our students and our alumni to come up with ideas which they can enact, and we will support and enable and facilitate as much as we can. But we are actively looking at some projects. So the Sanctuary Programme, which I've already mentioned, I would love to find a way of actually scaling that. If you look at the sort of global refugee crisis, we are making an amazing contribution, but it's actually a pinprick inside that crisis. So how do we scale that? And maybe we can use philanthropy to help us scale that, or partner up with other universities. So I think it's both a combination of sort of grassroots activity and making that grassroots activity as easy to do as possible, along with some of these really big ideas. Because as we keep on referring back to, everybody right across King's, and if you sort of take the alumni community along with our student community and our staff, we're a community of 250,000 plus people globally. We can all make a contribution, and if you bring all those people together and focus it around service, you start to make a real difference, and that's how you make the world a better place.
What an incredible journey.
Thank you.
Chloe, Jonathan, thank you for a most engaging conversation about this incredibly important topic. And we'd all like to thank the whole King's community, because service is what you all do in your education, in your laboratories, in your community engagement, in your international activities. It's a journey we're all on together. It's incredibly important, it's incredibly exciting, and we all look forward to the next phase. Thank you all.